Welcome to pay-to-play review for Division, or Tom Clancy's The Division, or The Division, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. However you want to shorten it, it's up to you. Here it is. Here's the game. Here's you can see it visually. Right now we're actually having a bit of weather here. In the game you can shoot a lot of things, including birds. I tried to do that and I guess I didn't hit the birds, that's fine. Anyway, well, let's talk about the game first. It's a third-person tactical shooter MMO. So as you run around, you will run into other players in the game. That's completely possible. So you got dynamic weather. Weather's changing right now. You know, visibility is decreasing. You also got the day and night cycle. So the time of day will change in the game as you go ahead and play. But overall, you can still distinguish everything around you, where to go, how to do things. It's all pretty much visible. Now, as I mentioned before, it's possible to kill things in the game. There's rats, there's birds, there's dogs if you want to shoot dogs. There's also friendly NPCs. You cannot shoot friendlies. Well, you can shoot them, but you're not gonna do any damage to them. So while I'm here, let's well, you know, I'm just gonna go walk towards some other location so that I can just talk and show you things around you. So here we are. One of the interesting things about this game is the fact that you can shoot through glass. Right? So let's say if your opponent taking a cover behind the glass section of the car. So I'm gonna stand somewhere here. That's not a good example. I need a car with attack class. There it goes. Just go ahead. Shoot the opponent through the glass. And right there you can see some of the bullets came through. I guess with this one, with the police cars, it's worse. Usual normal cars, it's much easier. Usually don't have much of a problem shooting through them. So that's something that's available to you. There's a cover system in the game. Like I said, it's a tactical shooter, so there you go. You can go from cover to cover. Now there's no jumping capabilities. You can climb onto things right there. You know, climb onto a lot of things, but you can't jump. If you climb out of something really tall up, you can do some damage to yourself. That's possible. So, oh, there you go. I need to help this civilian, and then that civilian will give me something in exchange for helping them. So, what the game is about? Well, the plot is the following. You have the plot of a situation as such. Oh, there's enemies. Let's shoot them. By the way, right now you see me using special ammo. That's because there's an event in the game that's granted me costly special ammo. Generally, you don't have special ammo. You have to find it and equip it in order to use it. But in my case, there you go. I have it, so I'm able to use it. Here, yeah, right there. Better example of shooting through glass. So, back to the story. Story is such: there's an outbreak of an epidemic. Game right there. I shot at the rats. And there's an outbreak of the epidemic. The New York is quarantined because of that. It's an outbreak in New York City. And you are a member of an agency called the Division, which is called in to kind of bring back the law and order into the city. That's pretty much the whole story. Now as you go through the missions, of course, you're gonna get more of the story, but not that much more. The missions themselves don't give much more of the story. The actual story is kind of portrayed through this kind of things called evidence here. This is a kind of a cinematics that you can watch, but you can also skip. You don't have to watch them. There's also something called field data that you can find. So let me give you an example of that.
Captain. Man, I can't.
Here's an example of a phone recording that you can find as you run around. You will run into this kind of stuff, and it is field data. So there's also the survival guide, phone recordings, incident reports, crash drones, missing agents, and echoes. Echoes are like kind of visual representation of what happened. have a scene. Missing agents is like a profile of other agents in your organization that got missing. Crash drones give you a picture with a brief description. Then incident reports and phone recordings are actually audio files that play through, which is extremely convenient, so you can go ahead, run around and do other stuff you want without need to sit through the actually and read stuff. Survival guide, the most interesting part of this, I would say, of the story narration here. Well, you do have to read through it, and there's quite a few of text. And as you sit in this menu, like I am right now, it does not mean that the game stopped for you. No, the game keeps going on and you can get attacked, so that's kind of a bit annoying. So a lot of narration, a lot of character development is given through those kind of stuff, and the game doesn't really force you to listen to it or gives that information in any other way, and so it's kind of a bit disappointing that the information is not given, because it does add way more depth to the story than if it wasn't there. So let's go find here's some other enemies. Good. Oh, they dropped the grenade. That's how you usually can see the grenade. There's more enemies somewhere. Let's go with them. As you can see, like I said, it's possible to recognize things visually. I can recognize certain enemies by the way they dress. Now, as I walk, the game here you should see it's giving me the path to walk on. Now that's just the main path. Any side path or shortcuts it will not show. Now that this line will actually lead me to the objective, it usually leads me to the general location of the objective. But it will say if I need to climb onto somewhere or do anything like that, the game will not give me that. And it would be up to me to figure out that I need to climb onto something or go somewhere to get to that location. Let's progress further. Before we'll go back and to the actual base of operations. So that's pretty much the story of the game and the things that you can encounter. Like what you're gonna see around you, what I'm showing you. There's gonna be enemies and such. Enemies depends on the difficulty in the game. So generally if you'll be below level 30, the enemies are all gonna be slightly lower in level than you are. If you are above level 30, then the difficulty of the enemies will depend on the following. Here it is. Tier, as you can see, the tier 1 gives you 30 level 30 enemies. Tier 5 gives you level 34.
I've got it.
So depending on the tier you have, the more difficult the enemies will be, and of course the more difficult the enemies will be, the better equipment you're gonna get equipped, and so on, and off you go. So more missions and that kind of stuff happens. So that's kind of a bit of a misunderstanding about some of the stuff here. Let's jump into what to do in the game. Well, there's lots to do here. Here's a map of the whole game, and so as you can see there's a lot of icons, so a lot of things to do. There's main missions that you progress through the game, but you can replay again after you complete them. There's sub-missions right here, and there's also something called encounters. Encounters come in different colors. Blue, green, yellow, and depending on the colors, it's this kind of stuff you're gonna get into the supplies, and the main missions also provide supplies, but I will talk a bit more about supplies later on. They are important for you. Additionally to encounters, you have safe houses here. You can fast travel between safe houses that you unlocked. So this is an unlocked safe house. This is not an unlocked safe house, so that means I never traveled to it. Once you're inside safe house, you can open up all the side missions and encounters in this general area you have here. In this case I just passed by the encounter, and so the mission also pops up now on my map, and that's another way you can discover missions. But generally you do it for safe house. Most of the missions in safe houses and are very grindy. Eventually you'll notice that you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's very repetitive in that way. So but you'll need them for experience, for the drops, for the supplies that you need for developing your base of operations. So we talked about mechanics, I think, about all the stuff, mission difficulty, and I think that I should actually now talk about the base of operations. Interesting enough, I'm not running into that many enemies. I expected to run into more enemies, but we're not, and that's okay. In this case, let's just go ahead and travel back to the base of operations, and in the meantime, I'll talk about the missions and their difficulties. So generally, I found that missions, if you're playing alone, you should play missions on normal rather than difficult setting. I did try to play on difficult setting, which is supposed to give you, of course, rewards, but I found that it took me hours to complete the missions. And so my understanding is that if you want to do it, play it on alone. You play it on normal because that's more realistic, but in terms of ability to complete the missions. But if you play it on harder difficulty, you should play it as a group. On harder difficulty, you get the enemies which are higher leveled and have more armor and they have more health. On the lower difficulty, generally enemies will be lower level than you are, you'll have less armor and less health. Of course, if you're above level 30, now putting up and doing the whole tier stuff, when it comes to setting up the tiers in the world, that will change the enemies to be of higher level, of course. But that's that's more of an end game situation that you're having. My understanding is that level 30 is when end game content begins to become available to you. Not all of it, some of it becomes available earlier than that, but generally end game content becomes available at level 30. Overall, I think the game is best played with a group of friends. Now, depending on the situation, how realistic it is, I'm not sure, but it's up to you. Right now, the game is free on Uplay, so you can maybe get a group of friends to play it. Here's the drops. That's how we get most of the stuff you need in the game. So you might get stuff that enough people to play it if they're willing. So generally, I find that quite often there's so many games out there, people playing all this all once, never play the same one. So to get a group of friends going like that, it's not that easy. Also, the game is available through Uplay Plus subscription. So if you have that, all the content, everything's unlocked, all the season passes content, everything, you will be able to have that in the game. And so here we are. This is this base of operations, which acts like a big giant safe house. So walk in. Now here we walk slowly. It's kind of a bit annoying, but it's kind of part of the game. The idea that you kind of being subject to ultraviolet light, so that all the microbes dry. So here, once you enter a safe house, you have one of the things that's always consistent is that you can always restock. Then you also have vendors such as weapons, so gear vendors. You have a rewards vendor who's only available in here, and this guy will give you stuff that you opened up through Ubisoft Club. And then of course you have the crafting station. I haven't really crafted anything that was useful to me in terms of having anything I could see there that was better than what I could buy or was already had equipped, but apparently it's possible. I've been told so. And there you go. Now we have also the wings. So there's different wings to the base: medical wing, tech wing, security wing, and here we are. Since the security wing, and then once I click here, open up. Here's the different parts of it that I built up. Building this stuff up opens up, well, sections of it, and once you have sections of it, you can pick up supplies from it. Like here, see, there's a go ahead and pick up something from it for myself. Additionally, all the talents, all the perks, all the skills that you have are actually also opens up through developing the wings of the base of operations. And how do you develop the wings? Well, you need supplies particular to that wing in order to build sections up. And supplies you get through the missions and the encounters, the main missions of the game, right? And each one will tell you exactly how many supplies and which ones you're going to get, and also the color coding also will guide you on that. So it's all there, easy in terms of to understand. Really, I was never really felt lost in the game. That's like, what am I doing, where do I need to go? So the base of operations also acts as a starting point for some of the endgame content as well. So you'll find yourself going from here times for some of the endgame content. So what is the endgame content that's available here? Well, we have a bit of it. So there's an event going on right now, so we have missions available particular event, there's a supply drops that you can go ahead. Those appear in in-game content. Something called incursions, which I tried playing alone and found that I don't think I can play it alone. I have to play it as a group. And these are additional missions that you can do. There's also defense against waves of enemies missions, also possible to do. Such as also there's then you can also rerun the missions that you completed. So that's possible for rewards. And then you have something called a dark zone. Dark zone is an area where the enemies are stronger, there's more of them, and there's also ability to do PvP, so players can go rogue and kind of fight with each other. So it's all available there as well. Finally, there's also missions called underground missions, where you walk through the New York underground. It's randomly generated tunnels, and you walk through them each time, and you play through that. So there's also that endgame content. So in that way, there's actually quite plenty of different in-game content to play through. I personally just don't feel any impulsion to play through them or compulsion to play through them. After I done the story, I was like, okay, well, that's it, done, good enough, right? So my opinion of the game, it's a good game. I wish the story would have been a bit deeper. It made me think about things. It tries to do that, but most of it is always through the side content, and so you kind of can skip it, and the game hasn't really tried that well. Whether this game is cool, well, I think it's uncool. Reason is because even though you play as a member of some special forces and such, right?
How's it going?
You're not really doing anything cool in the game. I never really felt like I was doing something amazingly cool, something like that, like really cool, anything at all. And the agency is really totally fictional agency. So
warning, now leaving the safe area.
What is it that I'm actually kind of should feel cool about either? So in the end, I think it's an uncool game, but it's a good game. So if you have Uplay Plus subscription or you want to try it for it now while it's free, go ahead, try it, play through the story. The story was good, even if it wasn't deep, it was still good. Alright, well, thank you for watching and for listening. If you liked it, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it, and please subscribe.